So there's one real estate program that I get contacted about every day, emails, text messages, comments, and that is the NACA program. Here's why the NACA program sucks. First, I'm gonna talk about the positives, but in my opinion, there are more cons than there are pros to this very popular program that you see floating around on Instagram and YouTube. The good thing about NACA is their interest rate is 1% lower than what everyone else is paying. So for example, right now, the average interest rate is 7%. Well, at NACA, you can get a 6% interest rate, okay? So that's one of the pros. Pro number two, you can use it to purchase a multifamily, and they have really high limits. Like their limits go to like 1.1, $1.2 million, right? So that's pretty good considering, there's technically no down payment and no closing costs. And the third pro of the NACA program is you can rehab a property, not to flip as an investor, but you can rehab a property to live in. The cons to the program is it is very hard to implement in most market conditions. And this is something that most people really don't understand until it is time for them to put in an offer on the property. Here's why. NACA needs 35 days and higher or and more to close. The average loan closes in 20 to 30 days. I have lenders that can close loans in 10 days. So in a competitive market like the spring market, NACA loans are not really that attractive to sellers. There are two things that matter in the real estate market. Number one, money, and number two, speed. I have lenders that can close in 10 days and they have gotten higher offers, but I've given them offers like, hey, it may be slightly lower than your highest offer, but you can get your money in 8, 9, 10 days faster. And some people prefer speed, right? 10 days versus 30 or 40 days, right? So that's one thing that's wrong with NACA is the speed. It takes 35 days and higher for it to close. Now, here's the next thing. NACA is closed on the weekends. Any listing agent that will tell you that when a home first hits the market, and normally smart listing agents put the home on the market on a Friday or a Saturday because people are off work and they get more traffic, right? They're using NACA and a home hits the market on Saturday. And let's just say they set an offer deadline for Monday morning or Sunday, or they may just take the first offer that comes in over the weekend. You're at a disadvantage because they're closed. So with NACA, you have to get something called a PSL, property specific letter, to put an offer in, where you send them the property address, the taxes, the condo or HOA fees, and they calculate it and they let you know what your payment is. And they give you a specific letter for that property to submit an offer. Since they're closed on the weekends, you can't get access to that letter until the next business day, right? Now, I know you can submit an offer with the letter that they give you, but that letter that NACA gives you when you first get through the program doesn't have a pre-approval amount on it. And if you send that to a listing agent and there's no pre-approval amount on it, they're not going to consider that offer because they don't even know if you're really pre-approved for that property. Here's the other thing, another disadvantage, the lack of communication. When you want to reach out to NACA, when you email them, they'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. If you call them, you cannot get the counselor on the phone. You have to leave a message or schedule an appointment to talk to the counselor. Versus these other lenders, if I'm working with a lender and I take a buyer to see a home on a Saturday, we can call that lender right there. Get an updated pre-approval letter. We can get the numbers for their payment. We can submit the offer that day. Versus NACA, you can't do that. You got to wait until the next business day to get the numbers and to get the pre-approval letter from the counselor. I had a buyer. We went to see a house on Saturday. Here it is Tuesday. The counselor got back to us last night. She signed the offer, and here it is. They accepted the offer early yesterday. It's one of those things where it's like they don't have speed. They don't have the access where you can call somebody anytime of night. You can text or email anybody anytime of night. There's a waiting process. This whole NACA thing really only works in certain market conditions. When it is a competitive property, it's not going to happen. The close time is way too long. Most sellers are not going to wait 35, 45 days. And you have to have a 10-day inspection window. Most sellers aren't going to want to do that. You are not going to be competing with somebody who has an FHA or conventional loan where they can get a deal closed in 10 days. It's going to be hard to compete with that. Now, if it's a property that's been on the market for 100 days, 50 days, something like that, then by all means, if the seller, at least they got an offer, right? They have no choice. But in a competitive market, it's not as good. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, you can always offer more, right? So let's just say the property is listed for $500,000 and then you offer $540,000, right? A smart listing agent is going to look at this and say, okay, you're using a no down payment, no closing costs loan, and I know this isn't going to appraise for 540. What if it doesn't appraise? Are you going to put the cash down to cover it? Or is my client going to have to bring their price down, right? So they're going to look at that and say, all right, well, show us the money you got to cover that gap, right? So that might, if it's a smart listing agent, that may not even get accepted. It sounds good, no down payment, no closing costs, but they're going to make you still put money down. You're going to have to pay your taxes, your transfer taxes, your recordation. You're going to have to pay that stuff out of pocket regardless. So even though it's no closing costs, no down payment, like they still make you pay something. And it's most of the time it's the taxes. The NACA program works best for someone that is looking to get started with a investment portfolio, but that is going to take the approach of an owner occupant. Like, you're purchasing a multifamily, or you're doing a rehab thing and you're going to hold on to it for the minimum amount of time that they require you to hold on to it. And then you're going to move out and purchase another property, right? Like for that. But if you're looking to purchase a property that you want to say live in for the next 20, 15, however many years, and you want the most hottest, most popular property in the area that just hit the market today, that loan is pure garbage. It's not going to work. When I work with buyers and I reach out to agents and I say, hey, here's the offer, we're using the NACA program. They be like, what? Click. Like, these agents don't want to even deal with it. They don't want to deal with it because the agents too, unfortunately, most agents are self-centered. So they want to get paid the fastest too. So they're going to push their client to pick the fastest and, the most efficient and most paying offer, right? But when these agents see NACA come through, man, some of them, I'll be honest with you, some of them don't even present it to their client, although that's technically unethical, but they don't care. They know how that program works. So, and in addition to that, NACA may require the seller to fix certain things. It's a lot more of a tedious process than, taking these other traditional routes or using other down payment, like state down payment assistance programs where you don't even have to take a class. If you qualify for it, you get the money. But all in all, it's tedious. And I suggest anybody that wants to get a multifamily property, especially ones that are higher in price, $1 million, 1.2, 1.3, to use the NACA program, because multifamily properties don't fly off the shelf that fast, especially not, those that are in the 800,000, 900,000, $1 million. Those don't fly off the shelf as fast. If you're trying to chase a primary residence and you're looking for these fully renovated, move-in ready, hot, these homes that are hot the first day out, it's not going to work for you. It's not that good of a loan. And, you gotta have some sort of a strategy when it comes to those hot properties, whether it's speed or whether you're overpaying for the property. And I'm telling you, NACA is not one of those programs to use for that. I have a lot of people reach out to me. I just want to kind of set people's expectations. NACA can be a mess. It just really depends on how patient you are and your understanding and your expectations of the real estate market that you're about to embark on, that you're about to get into. So you got to really know what you want, understand how the market works, and understand the advantages and disadvantages of this program.